We are live with not one, not two, not three, not four, but not five, but six Docker captains. This is a personal record for the channel. I'm super excited today because we will talk about Docker AI. I also want to know about the stories of these amazing people. I think I met most of them. We met in Los Angeles, but maybe we didn't even meet. We didn't even greet each other. I want to say thank you so much for joining. If you're in the chat, say hi, say ciao, say Docker run, whatever. Tell us also if you like Docker or not, but mind your words. And I think we can start. So is everyone here? Sound check. Are we
Yep.
here?
Yes, of course.
Hello.
Hello.
Perfect. Great.
Hello.
Great. So perfect. So let's start with the introduction. We need to be fast today because we have many people that maybe want to share their point of view. Okay. Hey, Subra. Hey, Timo. Welcome. I would like to start with Pradumna. Pradumna, we met in India some time ago. He became a Docker captain. It has been Docker captain for a while. So I would like you to introduce yourself, and then we will keep moving about this. Go, Pradumna.
Hey, I'm Pradyumna. I'm from India. I mostly work with DevOps and Golang tools. So I'm really into open source, invest a lot of time open source building like, tools around like CLI and a lot of CI/CD pipelines. So this is what I do. And apart from that, I really love working with communities, like creating blogs, creating social content. And apart from that, I love delivering talks. The most recent one was like a KubeCon India. It was about Docker only. So yeah, that was about me. And thank you for the invite, Francesco.
Thank you so much, Pradumna. Let's go with Georgis. I don't know if I pronounced that correctly. So welcome. Please introduce yourself.
Hello, everyone watching, and it's a pleasure. It's 1 a.m. for me. I'm in Melbourne, Australia, so drinking some caffeine here to be awake. Jorge Arteiro. I'm based in Melbourne. I'm from Brazil originally. I'm in Australia for almost 20 years now, and I've been working for Microsoft last 6 years and Docker Captain for 1 or 2 years, and I've met a few of you on the conference. I am a cloud developer advocate for Microsoft on the cloud native space. So I have been doing Docker and containers talk for a long time, and since probably the beginning 2014, 15, and when I start using Docker, and then I remember doing container camps and events, and I did DockerCon, Containerd, something I like to talk sometimes, and some KCDs on Containerd. And also, on my job, I do a lot of talks on Azure Kubernetes Service and Kubernetes in general. So those are my subjects, and I'm a developer, and now as advocate more doing a lot of things, but as a developer, I work with .NET for many years, C++, and so many other languages that I don't want to talk about because we're going too back, too far away. But yeah, I love development and I love to talk about Docker.
Perfect. I can really feel the passion, even let's say just through the camera. So thanks again of course, for being here. And now I would like Christian to introduce himself, and welcome.
Thank you, Francesco. It's really amazing to be here with all of these guys from Docker. So I'm a Docker captain, as everyone here, and also I'm a guy who contributes a lot about the front-end topics because I have more than 10 years of experience related to front-end like React, Angular, and Vue. So I contribute to Docker with these guides for specific frameworks in front-end and also for Azure documentation. And I'm passionate about blogging. So I have a box, and my books are rated more than 10 or 20,000 per month. And also I'm passionate to contribute in the open source. And of course, AI.
Of course, yes, I love your background. Thank you. Also, you pronounced my name 100% correctly. Love that. I'm trying now to introduce Angel. I don't know if I did a good job. So welcome, and please introduce yourself.
Okay, thanks, Francesco. So I'm Angel Roy. I've been working in Alfresco for a lot of years, like too many years now. So this is where I started with to play with Docker, like in 2015, something like that, because there are technologies that fit really well. So with the time, I was moving from engineering to developer evangelist. So now my current role is developer evangelist. And now, as Alfresco is part of Highland, I not only developer evangelist for Alfresco, but also for all the Highland AI platforms. And also, as an additional note, I'm also teaching Docker to my students in the university, because I'm teaching in the university, especially cryptography. So I'm using Docker for all the labs, and it's really amazing just to start all the stuff in seconds. So this is me.
Thank you. I really needed you during my university times. Maybe it was a bit too early for Docker. I did like in 2017, so maybe it was a bit too early. But no, university didn't help me in learning Docker. So I'm jealous of your of your students, because they have the opportunity to have such an amazing teacher. I don't know if Timo is freezed or no. Are you there,
I don't.
Timo?
Should work.
The audio works, but you are
the video not.
but you are freezed. So I don't know. Turn it off. Turn
Is
it
it
on
better?
again. It didn't work.
Is it
Your
not?
camera is still freezed.
Okay, but I can see it on the YouTube's.
Okay,
on the-
maybe it's just me. In that case, it's fine. Yes.
Okay.
Okay. I will see you from YouTube. Perfect. Okay.
Okay, perfect. Okay, thanks. So yeah, apparently I'm not frozen. Hopefully, so at least you can hear me. Yeah, my name is Timo Stark. I'm from Germany. I'm a Docker captain since I think 2 years, 3 maybe. And I'm currently working as a head of cloud engineering for a small German company. After I left F5, was working for Nginx in product management for almost 5 years, and before that I was doing a lot of software development in the automotive industry, and that's where I came across Docker in 2017 the first time at DockerCon Austin. So I'm playing around with Docker since 8 years now, if I count, or 7 if I counted correct, 8. Yeah, so, and I'm super excited to be here in this fabulous group with all my other fellow captains together.
Great. I think I attended one of your talk at DockerCon, I think, in Los Angeles. I think it was about, I can't remember, but yes, and I remember you like rehearsing the talk right before doing it. I remember I took a couple of pictures. You were like hyper focused, and I love that. I love that. I really love that. Perfect. So I think we all introduce ourselves. Perfect. So I think the first thing that I would like you to share is a bit about how did you get in touch with Docker? This is one of my favorite questions. And also maybe how, briefly, like how did you become a Docker captain, if you remember that. Otherwise, it means that you are a veteran in that case. Who would like to start? Go.
I mean, I can take that.
Go.
So, as I said before, I was playing with Docker for a long time, and I remember that I provided a session on how to install Alfresco in 30 minutes from scratch, just from the Linux system and so on. So that was in 2015, I guess, and the next year I delivered a session on how to install Alfresco in 1 minute by using Docker. So I created all the Docker images of Docker. Alfresco at that time they didn't have official Docker images, so I created that from scratch, and I delivered the session. And from that, Alfresco adopted Docker. It was just a love at first sight, you know. So that was like my first experience with Docker. And after that, I fell in love with Docker Compose. That is still like my favorite feature of Docker. So my next step was to be Docker community leader. I don't know if this program is still working today, but it was a really nice program just to gather people from your community, in my case, in Spain, and just to share your experience and so on. So small meetups. There was a nice time. And at that moment, COVID came. So all these small communities just were destroyed. And from that time, I just switched to Docker Captain, just to collaborate like in this other, you all know, in these other activities we have and so on that can be taken like not in person. So this is how I became a Docker Captain, and this is all my travel till today.
Yes, perfect. Just if you want just to have some fun, there is a person in the chat which his name is COVID. He's a very nice guy, but he has this very weird name. This is like personal branding. So yes, when you COVID, you was there. Yeah, perfect. And that's a very interesting story, like, because I think it is really show the potential of Docker. And so if you were since the beginning, so imagine like being 2015, the people. So basically, you brought like people in the future. You were the AI basically 10 years ago.
Yeah.
Great. Let's go with Christian. I'm very curious about how did you get in touch with Docker, and also how did you become a Docker captain?
So yeah, how I started with Docker, it was kind of strange because I started like a front-end developer, and to use a Docker, it was not something which is related to front-end at all. But I want to understand the whole picture about the infrastructure, and also when I do something in the front end, how it's going to the server. So I start digging deep, and I start learning Docker. Later on, I have opportunity to meet one of the greatest my friends who are really passionate about Docker and DevOps, and he teach me a lot about Docker, and I began to be really passionate about this topic. What I found in internet is that in open source community, we don't have anything about front-end related and Docker. So I decided to create one open source project, which is combining all of the favorite and also popular frameworks like React, Angular, Next.js, Vue, Remix. All of them, I create a Docker files for them and put it to be a public repository, which in the end gain a lot of popularity. So I start speaking with some of the Docker captains to review my open source project, and later on, Docker community contact me, and that is my story. I'm here. Yeah, shortly is that.
No. Yeah, I'm very happy that I'm doing these these episodes, because I was really looking for something like this, because I also do videos using front end that runs in a Docker container, because it makes sense when you run a full stack application. Yeah. I think it absolutely makes sense. So I might actually check it. I've always done this manually, let's say by myself. And yes, it does make sense also to run Docker with SJS. But I made a whole separate video to that, so if you want an answer for that. And very interesting. I'm taking notes, and I think when I re-edit this, I might take some great takes. By the way, Mohammed, hi, you will be here in one of the next sessions. We met in Berlin. He's an amazing guy, and he also brought the hat, I think, at We're Developers. So that's a great branding. Perfect. Let's go with Pradumna. Pradumna, how did you become a Docker captain? How did you get in touch with Docker the first time? I'm not sure if I remember that. I feel if you've been known for long. I don't know if I ever asked this.
So first I will say how I get started with Docker. So I was learning about different tools like back in like 2022 or 21. So I was looking into database, and it was a bottleneck. So it was how I can run a database. I was, I think, trying to run Mongo. And this is where I came to know about Docker. And that time I was not into DevOps. So I started learning Docker. Then I get into like DevOps. So this is how I started. Like I was just trying to run database. But how I get in touch with the Docker? So I was already writing blogs from like 2 years, and posting content on the like Twitter, like about the compose, like about the the different Docker commands and good practices, bad practices. And so I saw this program. I think I get to know about this program from you only. Like Francesco, I was seeing like he's posting about Surf. So I submitted the application, and you were the only person who get me like get in touch and much more closer to the like speeding up my process of the application. So this is how it went. Then talk with the Docker team, and here I am. Like I went through, and they selected me. So that was my journey. Yeah.
Yes, 1,000%. Let's say deserved. So, but surely I had basically a very similar experience to yours. I will show this mine as last. Georgis, do you want to share your experience? How did you become a Docker captain? How did you get in touch with
Yeah.
Docker for the first time?
Sure. I was trying to remember when you guys talking, but yeah, it was a long time ago. I think in 2014, Docker came 2013. I think end of 2014, beginning of 15, I started playing. I was in a project doing, like middlewares. My desktop was Linux at the time, and I started saying, hang on, I can, all that Java frameworks, and I say I can use Docker for that. And the funny thing or not, that Docker was faster than installing that in a VM or something. And then said, wow. And then back then, you have something called HashiCorp Vagrant. Many people probably use that. And that you create these development environments. And then I started using Docker. And then I joined like a consulting company for the more Microsoft side in July 15. And then I submitted like a talk, my first talk in English, because I'm originally from Brazil, and was for like a big conference, the Microsoft Ignite in Gold Coast. And it was like a 3,000, 5,000 people conference. And I remember it was a big room, Francesco, and I was talking about Docker in November 15 with API management, API gateway, and the API itself running as a Docker container. And I asked how many people know Docker, and it was like 3 people from 200. 3 people knew what Docker was in November 15. And just coming back from this conference, I had the opportunity to do the official Docker training that my company was doing, a Docker training, official Docker training here in Melbourne. Was a guy from Sydney, was the only one that had knowledge at the time. And then from there, we organized Docker meetups. So I was doing Docker meetups. I did a few talks on Windows containers. Remember 2016, we had Windows containers and all these things. And I did a few Docker meetups and things. But I only became captain 2 years ago when I think that after all these talks and conference container camps, I did container camp in 2016 or 17, where Brendan Burns, that great Kubernetes, came to Sydney to talk about, Kubernetes, and was before Microsoft had Azure Kubernetes Service, before pretty much everything. And it was amazing to see that, growing. And that became my job, was my hobby. And at some point, I was a developer, and I kind of started moving to be more like a DevOps. And then I joined Microsoft 2019 because all my knowledge on Kubernetes implementations on premise for big companies and things, and I think that the learning from this time, Francesco, was teaching how the basics of Docker, and I think it's still this day the most important thing. Go back to the basics and explain how the developer can work with Docker Desktop, how they can do the development cycle. Now with this new AI cycle, I think is amazing that what can be done. But yeah, sorry for the long introduction.
It was great. And I think I never heard someone saying like, oh my God, I regret so much learning fundamentals. It was an absolute waste of time. So I never heard a single person saying this, because fundamentals are fundamental, of course. And I'm just imagining like someone attending your talk in 2015 and thinking like, oh, what is this buzzword? Like, what is this guy talking about? Something weird that will just be forgotten, like, in a month or two. So, and I think you deserve to become a Docker captain earlier. I think absolutely. But yes, I think I'm glad that you are part of the crew now. And now it's the turn of Timo. Timo, how did you heard about Docker and how did you become a captain?
So yeah, first goes first. I heard about Docker the first time at DockerCon in Austin, 2017. I was working for a German automotive company, and we are, back in the days, we were pretty good in doing some construction work for cars, but in the IT, software engineering, cloud sector, we had a lot to work on, let's say this. So what they did is they sent us to the US to attend some conferences. One was DockerCon, then it was AWS reInvent later. So that was the first time I heard about Docker. And back in 2017, I remember that I was from my flight from Austin to San Francisco. I was sitting next in the airplane to one of the Docker engineers, and we talked constantly about stuff, about Docker and containerization, how that works. And I had not a single clue what that is. I was like, I heard about containerization and Docker the first time in 2017 at this DockerCon, and I was attending all the talks, and some of my colleagues, they were outside sitting in some sport bar and having beers and watch television, and I was like constantly attending talks and did some hackathon stuff on the docs, and that was a pretty fun thing. And quite like very shortly after DockerCon 2017. I said to myself, you know what? I love this concept of Docker captains, and one day I will be a Docker captain. That was 2017. So then I started working with Docker hands-on and created my first containers, because I told the application team, or there was nothing like DevOps back like in 2017 in the automotive company. We had people that deployed our applications to production VMs. And it was like basically a zip archive, and you shared this zip archive with one of like some person that probably would read your documentation, how to deploy it. Unlikely, most likely they will just unzip it, put it somewhere, and then probably will work or not. That was always a little bit tricky. But I said, you know what? If we can use Docker, it's up to the application owner to produce an image that will work on this VM. You just start a new version of that image. That's it. So you don't have to care about dependencies and what did change and stuff. So and I was actually the first person at this company that launched a Docker container in production, 2017, I think, or 18. So yeah, that was my first my first touch base with Docker, and I was constantly using it since then, like every single day for all my stuff, private and at work. And how did I become a Docker captain? I'm the author and creator of, spoiler alert, Mohammed. So I am the author of the Nginx Docker desktop extension. So I was working for Nginx till last year, April, and we had a chat with Docker about Docker desktop, and I said, you know what, let's try this extension thing and see what I can do with it. So I was just sitting down and created this Docker desktop extension, and when I look at it right now, it has 52,000 downloads. So that was kind of a like, hey, let's create a Docker desktop extension that you can use to manage your Nginx instances locally for front-end development or back-end development, or do some proxy stuff on local machines. And it turned out that a lot of people find this thing very useful. So that's how I became a Docker captain. And I'm super proud to be here with all you guys and talk about stuff.
I love that. I will be quick. By the way, amazing stories. I started being serious about programming. For serious, I mean like 12 hours a day, coding with Unity 3D and games. And at some point, I needed, a backend service to have a leaderboard. So there, I learned some basic stuff. So I deployed this service. It was Java service, database. Okay, Postgres, it works locally. Now where can I put this somewhere on and have, I don't know, some, like, because I want this to be up and running. So I've been looking for a while, and then I ended up with this Docker thing. I watched a couple of videos from Kelsey Hightower. I bought a course by Brett Fisher, and said, okay, let's learn it. And when I arrived at the Docker Compose, I had like, boom, mind-blowing. Okay, this is exactly what I want, and I will never install a database on my machine again. So that's the thing. That's the short version. And how I became a Docker captain in 2021. I quit my job and I decided to go like doing content creation stuff. And I said, okay, in 5 years, I want to become a Docker captain. It was March 2021. In May 2021, I did something a bit crazy, which was attending the DockerCon online. I did a whole live event, me attending it, so like 9 hours live. And then I compressed 9 hours of the DockerCon in 20 minutes, 25 minutes. So it was like a very long editing. I think it's passed like 3 days, like editing this stuff. I published this video on my YouTube channel, and the day after, I got contacted to become a Docker captain. I was also sharing some stuff about Docker, but I think that was, the final, let's say, thing that I did. So basically, I achieved that 5-year goal like in 2 months. And then I don't know, I had to find something else, and this is how I became a Docker captain, and I've been loving being that so far. Great. So I think we have been for about 30 minutes without even mentioning AI. So now for the rest of the time, I want you to really share your experience with Docker AI, of course. So like AI is the thing now. And what I really love about Docker is that it's so time resilient for being a platform, a technology. It's not that toddler anymore, but even in this era when maybe some other technologies get maybe disrupted, I think Docker can always adapt, and it always surprises me for its nature, maybe. So I would like really you to share maybe what you liked the most about Docker in this era, let's say in the last 1 to 2 years. I think they released many things. I want to start making videos about this, preparing talks, but I want you to share from your experience maybe something that impressed you or something that you really loved about this, so Docker and AI. Who would like to go first? Have something to share? Let's
I
go.
can go first.
Go.
So yeah, the most important thing for me with Docker and AI was the model runner. I mean, that was the number one thing, because if you have, so basically what you need to start with AI, like with AI on your as a developer, like that, I think that is crucial that we mentioned. You as an engineer would like to play with a local LLM. You would like to see what you can do, like answer basic questions, translate things. So what you basically is you launch this LLM, this model on your local machine and interact somehow with it, like using an API or something. And for me, Olama was always like the first thing to do. So I've just installed Olama from the website, launched the model, interacted it with my APIs with it. That was great. But it's not just Olama, right? There are a ton of different other models out there, and they all work a little bit different when it comes to deployments and when it comes to start a local model and to interact with it. And for me, the real game changer was that Model Runner on Docker Desktop made, like, with this step, Docker made it again. It made it again super easy for engineers to just start something without even thinking about the underlying technology. That was the first thing when they did it, was with containers in general. You just start the application that is in a container and you don't think about what is inside the container. Same with Model Runner. You just launch the model, interact with it, and you don't care where to get it from, how to install, how to configure it. You just launch it. So that was, to me personally, the very, very first game-changing moment when I say, you know what, this is brilliant. I just can play around with it and use them.
Yes, great. And I think that the Docker team should use as a marketing slogan like Docker made it again. I love it. So we will contact them and I will let you know. We'll give credit, of course, because I just love that really punchline. Angel, what about you?
So one of the things that Docker is able to do quick as light speed is just creating the new stuff you need. That happened with the first AI Docker Compose that was announced in Los Angeles, if you remember. So that was like the first Docker AI framework to play with AI. And they did the same with the MCP, with the Model Context Protocol. So this is something that can be developed, as you know, in many different technologies. MCP is the new standard to connect tools to AI, right? It's just for the newest. You can build that with TypeScript, with Go, with many different languages. So then you have a problem because you need to install all this stuff and so on. But Docker created this MCP catalog that is again creating something that with one single click you can start any of the NCP server you want. So that is really brilliant. And the next iteration is that I love this open source approach of Docker. Because what happens is that what an LLM has a lot of tools to choose. When there are, I don't know, 1,000 tools to choose, then it's really impossible for the LLM to choose the right one. So this is why Docker has a nice project that is the MCP gateway, that is this piece that you put in the middle of your LLM, of your client, or your MCP client, and the LLM, just to pick the right MCP tool. So you are reducing the context, and you are just giving to the LLM a subset of tools, and then your performance is quite better, right?
Mhm.
So this is what I'm highlighting today, right? So this very quick adapting to your requirements. Indeed, I was thinking on marketplace, but Docker is not thinking on the marketplace. I guess that they are thinking on developers. So this is why they are giving us this kind of tools. So this is my take.
Thank you so much, Angel. Sorry, I was trying to want to share this. The Docker
Okay.
MCP gateway. Thank you so much, Horace, to help me in in this. And thank you so much for sharing this. And Praduma, do you have any take? Something you want to talk about?
Yeah, so first of all, exactly, I really love this model runner. And one thing I would say, Docker was always about making the developer workflow easier. And I was also using LM Studios like Olama, but it was this always different sets of command. And what Docker did, like we run images and container, the same set kind of like same nomenclature goes for this kind of like when you run images. But the one thing I'm really looking forward is like this Docker Compose model runner kind of thing. So previously, when you have to separately run the model and then connect to this like Compose application with the URLs and this like what to say environment variables. Now they last month they introduced like this what is a model support to Compose. So like you what is a declare your volumes, like you declare your network, you can declare models in your Compose file, and it will inject all this model URL and model environment variable in your application. And with the OpenAI framework, you can just literally use the model. So you just have the single compose file. It will run your application. It will run your model, everything on single go, like we do with the Docker Compose application. And it's like on demand. You just do Docker Compose up, you create that, and you just select the model like whenever you want to do. No extra work like deleting models, extra commands, and everything. So this is the one I'm looking for because I'm a huge fan of Docker Compose. Yeah.
Yeah, that's a great take. Thank you so much, Pradumna. And Jorg, do you want to add something, maybe on the MCP gateway or whatever you want?
Yep. No, yeah, I'd love to talk about on Docker Desktop. If you open Docker Desktop, there's an option called MCP Toolkit. It's pretty much the MCP gateway, and what I'm using a lot. Then I have my Visual Studio Code with Copilot. Then I have all my MCP servers running as containers on Docker Desktop, and I just enable my MCP Toolkit, and pretty much we have this one single gateway or single place, single server that combines all the other servers from the catalog on Docker Desktop. And that's very easy. That helps a lot because you don't have to be, dealing with sometimes, even now we have authentication. Let's say if you want to use like GitHub MCP server, you can just use OAuth and you don't have to be, scary about authentication outside or, having authentication on JSON files inside your code. And I think that simplifies a lot. And that's pretty much what I'm doing on my videos and using that. Yeah, Angel, like that's pretty much, I think, what you're doing as well. And you can see projects now, even on Kubernetes, talking about having MCP gateways. And it'd be nice to have similar approach on Docker Desktop as we have now. Then when you go to production, you can have the same approach pretty much. That's the compose side, to run models and things, I think would be very useful going forward as well. Then I think the pretty much is like that. There's a few frameworks to create agents to integrate AI, but at the end of the day, Docker Desktop helps a lot to simplify that, development life cycle with AI, in my opinion. And then that's where I'm using, my daily base now.
Thank you so much, Jorge. Thank you so much, everyone, for sharing your experience. And Christian, do you want to add something? Maybe I know that many things have been taken already. So if you want to discuss anything, or even like another feature that maybe you liked about Docker recently, it doesn't have to be all AI. Come on, it doesn't have to be 99% AI. So you can talk like about whatever you want. We have some new cool stuff, the new things. So I will leave you like free to talk about whatever you want.
Thank you, Francesco. It's basically in Docker, each month it has something new. So we should to be up to date. And I love that the community is really love the product. And also we see that we are trying to be up to date with the new technologies. What I love most, it's few things. First of all, it started with MCP, of course, because Docker Model Runner is something which is really game changer in local development. And also, if you are not so curious how to build AI with native language, this is the way. It's just download the image and it's running. The model is running. It's like a magic. So I really love MCP. Later on, I found useful to use Gordon AI for some of my Docker files, just to check it, just to verify that they are good, to give me some suggestions. And I use it a lot to scan my Docker files. Also, I found really useful the hardened images, which is really powerful. It's small, it's secure. You go there, you download it, and you know that Docker is caring about your security and performance. It's amazing. But I found the issue, and the issue it was that my laptop back then, it was really slow, and I don't have a good GPU and CPU. So to running models locally, it's kind of pain. And we know all of that, but Docker introduced major change in that. And right now you can use Docker offload, and you can use the server and cloud benefits. So you can run pretty much everything in your machine really fast. So a lot of products. Personally, I use MCP a lot. I use MCP catalog and also hardened images. This is my 3 top favorites.
Perfect. So we mentioned many Docker tools that are related to AI. Yes, I would like maybe to talk just a bit more about the Docker offload. I think this has been a much weighted feature for many of us. I think maybe it's not strictly related to AI, but I think it has some potential, especially for someone who has some issues. Or, I want to give like a dumb use case, maybe for people who travel a lot. Maybe they have something that runs on their on their PC, but then they go somewhere and then they have to run the same things. So in that case, I think it can be a great use case. So to run containers in the cloud, I think it's a great thing that it exists, and if you want, you can use it. I'm sure that this will be used a lot. So that's my take. I will take this one. Many things are happening, and yes, you also mentioned Gordon AI. Someone wants to mention something? Angel, you want to share something?
Yeah, we just
okay. No. Please. Praduna, go.
Yeah, I was just going to talk about one of the good features about the offload thing is with this AI model runner and everything. Sometimes your GPU is not that powerful, and you're with this model runner, one of the use case I see is when you are developing some sort of AI application with LLM models, you can offload that model to cloud and actually develop that, because sometimes you're just using the local models due to security, anything like compliance and everything. And you can literally offload a bigger quantized model or bigger parameter model to this Docker offload, and you can still use your everything in this Docker. So everything is still local, but yeah, you're still using a local model. So yeah, I think this is one of the use case going forward.
Yeah, and I think there is nothing wrong in using things locally. I think it will still be, maybe the one of the things that will never completely die. But I think that now, it's nice to have some options at least. I'm still also a huge fan of local development environment, so that's for sure. Great. I'm really enjoying this conversation. Docker is really releasing a lot of stuff. So now I would like to talk, maybe spend some time talking like about what also was the whole event about. So more than about what do you think it will be the future of Docker, and not just the features that Docker is released about AI. So it doesn't have to be all AI related, but I would like to know maybe prediction, or maybe what do you think is the direction where Docker is going. To be honest, I think they are doing great. But is there anything like maybe that you want to share, since we are in this live event? We are also recording it, so we can also say that you did said something wrong. So this is your opportunity to make a bad prediction. I can even remove the prediction in the future if that's absolutely wrong. So no worries, you can drop whatever you want. So let's see who is the bravest Docker captain with the bravest prediction, because it's very hard to predict things. I would say ChatGPT has been released a few years ago. So who is the bravest? Who would like to start with a prediction?
I would start if you want.
Go.
Yeah, then predictions are very hard, but sometimes some people you have a crystal ball, but it's not like sometimes the information is public. If you are following the right people, you kind of can find out, pretty much predict what's going to happen. And I think the most important thing for Docker and with Docker Desktop and registry, AI, all that integrated, is to fill the gap between development and production. Because we are still in development life cycle here, locally development. Now with Docker offload, then you don't have to have these 64 gigabytes, laptop that costs $5,000. You're probably going to be cheaper paying Docker offload or pay something else. But when you go to production, the developers have no idea what's going in production. That's why I have the infra people. But I think we have to close the gap. Now with AI doing the code, the developers now kind of have more time to figure out all the things. And I think now it's time to help the developers to be not just writing code, and be closer to the infrastructure as well, to the deployment, the DevOps side. Because I was a developer, became kind of a DevOps, became advocate, but I think there is a lot of things can be done to close that gap between development and production. Any comments?
Very good.
I like it. I think that Docker will still be, first of all, will still be around. This is my prediction, which might be an easy one. And yes, I think it will work on the simplicity. So Docker has always been the master in making things simple instead of complicated. So since with AI now things they are trying basically to simplify things. So probably, I don't know, easy to set up a workflow. So and you also trust the workflow. I don't know, so something like this, like simple and super effective things that people use for real, and not just another random AI tool. So this is my prediction.
But also, sorry, Francesco, regarding to this thinking of Jordan. So I feel like the main gap for Docker with this production, this shift into production, is that Docker is not in production. Let's say that Docker is a development tool. So the challenge is really high, because Docker needs to produce something that will be deployed in a different platform. So I agree with you. There is a gap between development and production, but it's not that easy to solve that. So it will be surprising for me just to have this in how many years? Jorge, what do you think? 5 years? 4 years?
No, I think you can have next 3 years. I think.
Oh, great.
See, we brought back Kubernetes to Docker Desktop. We have composed, now that you can deploy on Kubernetes. So bring, that integration again. Then we improving the quality also. That, we have AI now to write that for you, and the manifest or whatever you want to write. I think we are closing the gap. I think we are. 2017. I think we can close that gap with now Kubernetes inside. If Kubernetes is the production environment, also WebAssembly is another thing. Means that say Microsoft just released open source project called WasSet that's running MCP server as WebAssembly component, and we can run that. That was my talk on DockerCon in Los Angeles. It was about running WebAssembly with Docker, and I think those things is going to start being easier to do it. And if MCP servers are the next API, probably WebAssembly with containers, because that's closer to production. End of the day, I don't know where you guys running, but pretty much all the platforms on all major clouds are running things on Kubernetes. Means that they're all containers pods running. So yeah, I can see Docker Flow, AI, Kubernetes, all these things is going to simplify the production workflow that Francisco was talking about. Not easy, not at all, but
but sometimes we have to be brave. So let's see. Who made the prediction that AI would have taken over? Let's say 2-3 years ago. Probably they make a good bet. We also one of the things why I like Rust or other things. And I like to make some bets on the future, and then we will see. We will see if we were right or wrong. Nice. I would like, to be honest, to have all the captains at least to make one prediction, at least one wrong prediction. So be sure to make at least one, a wrong one. I think that is Timo's turn.
Yeah, a lot were already mentioned, but I think that Docker Desktop will become a very, very strong tool in the future. It already enhanced over the last 2 years a lot, because I went from truly the use of a Docker CLI on my local machine to use Docker Desktop, just because it is so feature rich right now. A lot of things you can do better with Docker Desktop, and especially in corporate environments, in the way you can like bring, for example, hardened or specific extensions to your engineers that are only available for your group. And this is a prediction I definitely will make, and I'm not just brave about it. I'm almost very certain that we will see a Docker Desktop version that can be bound to a user specific marketplace in the same way you can hook up to your own registry, because this will open for environments where it's closed, where it's super closed, that you say, okay, you know what, you have Docker Desktop, you have your own registries and hardened images, and you have Docker Desktop with your own extensions, but you can still use the ease of Docker. And one wrong prediction is, because I just don't think, is that in 2 years' time, we will all just AI bots, and all the Docker captains will go away and fade out, and we will just be replaced by AI. I don't think this will happen.
Yes, in that case, probably we might not even make a live stream. We'll just have an AI doing this video for us. So in that case, you will not see our faces. You will have an AI on my channel with a video saying like, okay, Timo was actually right. Let's go with Angel. I'm super really enjoying all of these. I want to nitpick all these predictions and make a compilation. So, Angel, what about you?
That would be great. I have even the brand name, so it should be Docker Transparent. So there have been like many tries in the past with Docker init, first with the development environments, yes, to provide something that every developer can use without knowing Docker, without Docker experience, right? So with AI and with all these new tools, I guess that I'm going to say also in 2020, at the end of 2026, we'll have something that is working transparently with your development environment. So you just say, okay, and this is connecting to Postgre, and it will run I don't know, Docker Compose, Docker Image, whatever that is starting a POSIX database without writing any code, without writing nothing, and you can start just using it. So Docker transparent is my prediction.
I love it. Great. Let's go with Pradumna and then Christian. I think that we should be done. We need an AI tool that says, okay, this person already made the prediction and things, because it's a bit hard, but I think I'm right. Otherwise, Christian will make another one. So, Pradumna, another prediction.
Yeah, I think it's about production only. Right now, running model in production is painful. Like it's a hell of a painful. I think going future, like the Docker is double downing on this AI model and another. I think it will simplify deployment of AI models in production. So this is one of my prediction. And second thing, I think Timo already gave a hint. Like it will. I think Docker desktop will become eventually more powerful, and I would say might be wrong prediction. More like a AI powered IDE kind of thing, where you can literally. I'm not saying cursor or something like that, because the way I'm seeing, like it connects every pieces. So you never know. Like we have more IDE features on the Docker desktop itself. So yeah, MCPs and everything. You just code that there, connect everything from there, and just deploy it. Yeah.
Nice.
The captains are shooting really high, and I think so. I'll make a prediction about the predictions. That at least one of the weird predictions will become true, and they will say, "I said it on Francesco's live event in 2025." So these things might become useful. I'm loving this, and Christian, this is be the last one, so you have to be the bravest and do the weirdest one.
I will be. So first of all, I'm thinking on direction what can be improved with so much AI power. So first of all, my not years predictions will be that the process of creating Docker files, Docker Compose, and all of the related deployment files will be really easy. Something will run, will scan your application, will give you instructions, and probably in the future you will have option to set that this is my let's say code and this is my GitLab or GitHub, scan all of my projects and create specific for me Docker file, which will be really powerful, secure, and etc., following all of the company rules. This is the prediction I love to see, but my weirdest prediction will be to create own model itself. So Docker model, but something like GPT or anything else, because this will be really powerful and a lot of people can use it specifically if it's good for deployments. So yeah,
that's a great prediction. So you gave me an idea maybe for another weird prediction. We are in the weird thing. By the way, if you're in the chat, you should drop your weird prediction, because there will be also be remembered. So this is your opportunity to say, okay, I said it on Francesco's live event, even if you're in the chat. So this is a great opportunity. A weird prediction might be like Docker doing something similar to what Cursor and other IDEs are doing. So not an IDE, but like embedding the models itself, not to write code. So I'm not saying what Padum is saying, but like embedding the models, I don't know, on the on Docker Hub or other things. So you can use the models on the Docker website, I don't know, the website we already know, on the docs and other stuff. So embedding, and you can choose which model to run there. So it actually will use the models, but not for the things that we are currently using. We'll see. I think we vector. Okay, yes, vector databases. I think that's another story. Now we are just joking. Either they are here or you live long to see yourself. Perfect. Nice. Really enjoying this conversation. I think that might be another episode about these Docker captains doing predictions about AI. I think we'll replicate this because I'm having too much fun and I want a prediction to everyone. I'm sure we will get some. Perfect. And before maybe we wrap up, I would like any of you maybe to share some final thoughts about maybe Docker itself or AI. It can also be related to another tech that maybe you liked. If you want to keep it more about Docker, or maybe how it maybe changed the way you think about Docker, the perception, I would say, and how maybe this will be also maybe in your workflow in the future, and maybe how you will use it in the upcoming years, if we will still be around, of course. Otherwise, you can just have fun on my channel if you want. Who would like to give some final remarks? I'm almost across to 1 hour. Time really flies when we are with friends. So yeah, really happy and enjoying this. Go Timo.
Yeah, with AI, one of my final thoughts, because the way I use AI today, especially things like ChatGPT, is it changed the way I'm searching for issues and problems and finding ideas for solution. And this is what I definitely would like to call it. Never ever just copy paste things from ChatGPT in your Docker files, in your product, like in your code base or something. Take it as an idea of a hint saying, hey, I've summarized you a hell of a search job from Google and other search engines. This is what I think as ChatGPT, whatever, could work in your situation, but take it wisely. Revisit documentation, the official docs, and always double check and triple check and whatever, what was the response from ChatGPT. And if you don't understand what ChatGPT is sharing you in like code base or Docker file configuration, never mind, just go ahead and look it up and really understand what you're doing. This is my number one advice for using ChatGPT in your production and in your daily life as an engineer or DevOps engineer, because that's the way I use it. I ask a question, get a response, I research, and I would say in 50% of the cases, the answer is almost right, but it has some security implications in it. So you better check twice. That's my final thought here.
Yeah, thank you. I said like copy pasting things randomly on the internet or installing random things was not even a thing in the 90s. So don't do random stuff on the internet. It's a general, let's say, a good tip, but it's nice to say this again, and it does not a waste of time to remember this again.
It's a Stack Overflow with superpowers.
Exactly, yes. So I think the same people who was doing that with Stack Overflow will just do this with AI.
Yeah.
They will do this with when they will have robots at home. So we just keep copy pasting stuff. Amazing.
I will take this.
If they're still alive, of course.
I will take this statement. I will take this statement. Saying copy pasting from the internet was a bad idea even in the 90s. Love it.
Especially in the 90s, you could just install a virus that just does everything on your PC. I know because I was there. Yes. So who else would like to give some final remarks?
I'm happy to say something. Like, I'm doing that stuff for too long. I'm technology full time, more than 25 years. I started university in 91, just for you to understand. And I saw so many of those transitions. And if you think, containers is not a thing, containers is old. Containers from 2014, 15, 16, So when I start that back 2015, many people think, no, I don't have to learn that. Okay, and I remember 2017, 18, people come back to me and say, okay, I want to learn that stuff now. After 4 years fighting against that. And I see a lot of people fighting against AI at the moment. We don't know if you're going to be replaced by AI, it will be different. We don't know how it's going to be. And another thing is, it's not going to be less developers, it'll be more developers. It'll be 10 times, 100 times more developers coming to the market because it'll be easier to do it. And they have to learn the basics, at least to understand the code that's being generated. And I think, it's not going to be less developers, people giving up, it will be the opposite direction. And you have to learn these basics, and Docker is a foundation. It's something that you're going to take for your whole career, because all the major clouds, they run your workload as a container. So that's my advice. Don't miss that wave, because it's another big wave, and container is coming together with this wave. So learn containers and learn AI, because there's no way to avoid that.
Yes, exactly. And I think this is why it's still worth learning things to at least try to predict, or at least do things at least 6 months or 1 year. Maybe now it's 3 months before everyone else. And it's interesting. It's a never-ending run, but maybe this is why we are in tech and in development. So maybe we like it. We've been doing this for so far, so maybe I like it. It's like a race, and but yes, it's very important. Yes, who's next? I can see here.
I can
go. Go. Okay, go, Christian.
Yeah. So my final thoughts will be: don't be afraid for AI or anything new. This is normal. Of course, this is normal behavior to be afraid for something new, but go there, try it, learn it, and also don't believe it. So Timo mentioned security issues. I found a lot. So each time when AI give you prediction, take your time, just go in the documentation itself, verify everything, and then be sure that will work. But also use AI to learn. This is game changer. So if you go to some documentation, just paste a link and tell what is the most important things, and we'll summarize it for you. So use AI daily.
I like, and I think I am in line with the other people. So yeah, we can't really avoid it. I think Jorge said this before. We should embrace it, and we should also be faster. I said that like maybe 20 years ago you could say, okay, there is this new thing, let's do this in next year. Now I'm busy. Now we can't avoid this. I think when there is something new, like MCP is the master example. We can't avoid things for like more than weeks, maybe a month, 2 months. That's the real difference, because we are always been evolving, but we can't ignore things now. We can't say, let's do I'll learn AI in 2026. No, if you do this, it's really might become really a problem. So absolutely, we should be really open-minded, flexible. We need to find time to learn things. I think I'm doing an AI course. I think I'll do after this live stream. I already bought it. So this is how things has to be done. Perfect. I think it's Pradumna's turn.
Yeah, I just want to add one point. So when we generally heard Docker in community, if you're not from DevOps, people generally think, oh, it's a very DevOps oriented tool. But if you can see the shift in Docker, like it's not just an like container tools. Now you can run models, MCP servers, a lot of things, AI development, which is actually not related to DevOps, but you can include in that. So it's a very, really high time, and it's a really good time to get into Docker, learn about it, try to build images, try to run containers, and just get a good hang of it, because Docker is going to become more powerful in coming years. So you can do a lot of stuff. So yeah, I think this is a really high time. Even though you are front end on it, doesn't matter. It's just not a DevOps tool. Yeah.
Thank you, Pradumna. We are at the end of this pilot episode of the Docker Captains live. This conversation has been so useful also for me, because I think a big part is to understand and trying to stay up to date with things happening. I learned a lot even in this live event, so this might also be an idea to talk with people as much as possible. So that's I think I made things right. We collected your stories, the predictions, how the Docker is evolving. Again, I think that Docker is doing an amazing job. Not saying this just because I'm a captain, but I think that it's a fact that the Docker is still relevant, high relevant. I think you saw the Stack Overflow surveys, because it's simple. That's the real secret. That is simplifying things, and also is always a standard. You can see like the model runner. So Docker is still like one of the de facto standards in this industry. This is why also it became famous. And this is really its strong point. And I think we need more standard things in this area where you can do things in many different ways. I'm sure that all the AIs are suggesting to use Docker and do things with Docker to deploy this. I'm sure that they are still using Docker under the hood. We're still using Docker. Everyone is still using it. And that's it. So really, really enjoyed this conversation. I can't wait for all this prediction to become wrong, so I can start call you out one by one. Now, so I achieved my goal, but that will be fun. So thanks again for coming. Thanks everyone for being here in the chat. I think someone actually put some prediction. Yes, what?
No, just say, can I do advertisement here?
Absolutely.
It's just like I'm running that show at Microsoft called Open at Microsoft. Is a weekly, video. We had more than 100 videos now, and I'm pretty much supporting the open source. So if you are a maintainer of an open source project, AI related anything, don't have to be only Microsoft, CNCF project or anything that you want to be part of the show. I can give you probably the link here, but yes, Open at Microsoft. You can send a message on LinkedIn, submit your idea, and I'm happy to, if we approve the episode, we can record, and it'll be nice. There's one coming next week about, semantic kernel with MCP, and so it'll be nice
Absolutely.
if we have a project that we can record.
Yes, absolutely. If you give me the link, I will just shoot it in the chat, and I will add in the description right now. I think this is now also the time. Maybe I think Docker Captains are too humble. So maybe if you want to talk maybe something that you are currently working on, because I'm always looking for collaborations, as you probably guessed, ideas. So let's do it just for me. So let's just tell me like what you are currently doing. If there is a project you're currently working on, maybe we can collaborate even together. So it's your time. I will leave like some minutes if you have something that you're currently working on. I'm honestly interested into this. So yes, who is doing stuff? Let's see. I also found the link here. Let's see here and here. Okay, I'm sharing this in the meanwhile. Okay, so we have this learnmicrosoft.com. Perfect. So you can check it. I will add this also in the description. And yes, so that's it. Anything else? Pardon, I think you did something. What is the Saraf AI?
Yeah, I built a project related to like this Docker Compose. I can share the link. So it's everything. It's a chat GPT kind of thing, but it uses Docker model and Next.js. So everything is like in containers. So no like everything is like sits on a computer. I can just share the link. You can have a look.
You see, you see, they are too humble. I have to just say things, otherwise they will not. I have to this, but it's interesting. I think to share our projects. I'm putting the link also here in the description before I forget, and also this one. It's always interesting to do things with AI. I'll do also a shameless promotion on myself, which is that on Saturday I will go live, because recently I discovered that you can actually create a sort of a multiplayer game run with AI. For example, with Google Gemini, you also gives you like the instance up and running, so you don't even have to do this. But I want to try to test it. It's mind-blowing for prototyping. I want to do this with Docker. So I want, now that everything is working on Firebase, something like that, I want to have my Docker instance up and running on my own machine. So I'll be a happy developer to understand all these things. So on Saturday, I'll go live at 9 a.m. until I have energy, and it'll also probably be a standing live stream. Yes, I'm standing now. So yes, shameless plug from Francesco, and see you on Saturday. I will try to use Docker to build a multiplayer game. So that's my thing. Nice. And yes, so thanks. Did I share the Saraf AI thing? I think I did, or maybe I just added this in the description. I did not. I just added this in the description. And yes, perfect. So again, thanks for coming. It was super fun, and it was also great to meet all of you. And I think there will be another episode, because I asked Docker Captains if someone wanted to come on my channel, and I got I think more than 20 people, more than 20 Docker Captains, they want to come here. So I think that there will be another episode. And yes, so thanks again, and have a nice day. I think, Kargis, it's time for you to go to bed. I think, because it's like 2 a.m. It's not because I see you sleep. It's just you are great, but just maybe thank you for your hard commitment. So thank you. Thank you so much.
Thank you, everyone.
Bye, everyone. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Thank you. Bye.